Hi everyone, welcome. As you can see, we've prepared for today's feeding of the VermiBag Mini with a whole bunch of delicious stuff. Strawberry, banana peels. I even saw somewhere, here it is, a little bit of kiwi. Any of you who've ever tried composting kiwi, you'll know that that chunk of skin right there is going to last and last and last for a long time. And check that out, an entire tomato, and a big one for that matter, full of its juices. And there might even be some other stuff in here. I thought I saw a rind off of a tangerine down there. So let's get to giving them their delicious treat there. I didn't know if there was some veggie matter in there. Might have been all fruits and beans, because you saw the coffee filter there. That's got some used coffee in there. You know, what we did last check-in looked so cool as we did it. And I don't know why we've never done it prior, but we scraped away this top coating of leaves to get a clearer look at how this material right below it is shaping up. And I'll tell you, I was geeking out big time last time, because as I ran my fingers through this material in here, it just seemed so nice. Even when I watched the video again, I had a hard time believing my assessment of it at the end, where I talk about the moisture level being just right, just because it's so crumbly. It all, you know, it just seems on the video from watching it that it's got to be dry, but it's not, you know. And I even tried to like find spots where I would pull out material right from up against the, you know, up against the bag, thinking that, hey, maybe that's where it's going to be a little bit dry, where the bag is allowing some of its moisture out. But as you saw, the first thing we saw was almost always a worm right there, front and center, hanging out. And, well, if we don't see lots and lots of worms, well, chances are they're somewhere closer to the middle, which is where we usually feed. And I think just the tendency of worms in general is to be close to the surface. You know, like these earthworms that come out when it rains, those come out of very deep burrows. And I think that their diet consists mainly of like minerals down in the deep soil, unlike our friendly composting worms, like the red wigglers that occupy this bin here. The composting worms know to find their food on the surface, you know, decaying leafy matter and other stuff that's fallen to the ground. So we've gotten down into the area where we fed. I think we've already kind of tilled up and explored around the edges, and we've managed to hang on to all this nice leafy matter. Usually I'll go to blend that stuff in, but I'm wondering if that might be a nice foundation for today's feeding. This pumpkin stem, I think it was already something like 900 and who knows how many days old last time we checked in here, so its age is getting up there. A couple more months, we're going to hit 1,000 days in service with that huge pumpkin stem. Banana stems, on the other hand, yeah, they take a little while too, but not nearly as long as a pumpkin stem. Mango seed husk. I think, yeah, we usually see worms hanging out in there, making me think that there's probably still bits of that seed in there left for them to work down. And yep, these were deployed as a match set. So 2 of them over here. Sometimes I wonder if their worms are getting in there just because they like the, you know, the solitude or whatever, you know, the fact that they can kind of curl up into a little enclosed space and feel protected or something. I don't know. This, on the other hand, is another pumpkin stem. So we went from a pumpkin stem, banana stem, mango seed husks to another pumpkin stem, which I haven't had any luck breaking. If I wanted to break that really old one, though, the 900 some odd day old one, it's very fragile. Every now and then I kind of just press on it a little bit or hold it too hard or whatever, and I feel pieces chipping off of it, which I generally try not to do for things that I'm kind of tracking the progress of, to see how long they break down in their own natural rate, speed, whatever, without much help from me, if possible. But you know, me cracking away at it ends up becoming help for them. So you know what, we're going to stick to the original plan that I had, which is to just bring in my prepared bedding. It felt a little dry, so I actually poured some water down into here, and none of it's standing at the bottom. It all got soaked up by the shredded paper and cardboard and leaf mixture that my prepared bedding is made up out of. You see, very leafy, much more leafy than this stuff usually is. And that was deliberate. I figured, hey, let's try making our prepared bedding a little leafier this try. I like changing up the recipe a little bit here and there. And man, this pumpkin stem is so cool. Someday it would be interesting to see what this thing looks like if it had all this stuff that's caked on it rinsed off, so we can actually check it out. Maybe I'll do that one of these days, but not today. Today we're just coming in here with some yummy foods for them. So let's start out by dropping in this day's worth of coffee. And guess what? Now we've got ourselves a feeding zone indicator. We'll set this thing aside and mark where we fed when we get back in here. And a couple banana stems, but you know, I think we could be pretty generous with the bedding, so some of it will blend in to the surrounding materials, but I like the fact that we can just use some of this lovely seasoned stuff, which it's hard to imagine that we would want to consider it as bedding even, because it looks more like food. But now, by blending in some shredded paper cardboard and stuff, now it's kind of like another layer of lovely bedding, onto which now I think the whole rest of the meal can go. Yet another banana peel. And all those other little bits and pieces of stuff we checked out earlier, including, yeah, like I said, these little bits of orange peel. That looks like a nice feeding. And, you know, in a way I was thinking to myself how I'd like to try to gear up my systems to permit a greater period of time in between check-ins. And for that reason, I've been going real generous on the feedings. And somehow this feeding did seem like it was pretty generously portioned, just from the weight of it. Perhaps it was just the weight of all the moisture that's in that tomato there. Because when it was in that plastic container, it seemed like so much, but now that it's down in the bin, it doesn't seem like such an impressive amount anymore. It feels like I could have gone more generous. Nah, I think we're in good shape. Alright, looking good, looking good. We've not totally covered up our feeding zone, but we're almost there. But I think a nice thing that we could use at this point, since we blended in all these nicely seasoned leaves from last time, is to come in with even more. So let's do just that. I got my box of leaves here. In can come a nice coating of leaves, and oh, you know what? I can't remember now. Did we add grit to the meal? I don't think we did, but sometimes it feels like if I just give it to them out here on the surface, then they'll appreciate it just as much as if it was sprinkled right onto their meal. So let's complete the thought here with the nice top coating of leaves. And at this point, you know, I wasn't really consciously trying to do it, but now that I'm kind of looking around, yeah, it does look to me like now that we've leveled off this top coating of lovely leaves, we are kind of obscuring almost the top of our little view window down here, this little plastic view window. That's oftentimes been the measure of how we're doing, and sort of a little unofficial goal has been to get to a level that makes that thing vanish, makes it disappear. So that's it for the check-in, everyone, with the Red Wigglers and the VermiBag Mini. Things are looking quite nice in here. A little coffee treat out here on the surface. Sometimes I wonder, you know, all these dry leaves getting placed in here on the top, intercepting a lot of that moisture coming out of the system that would otherwise evaporate away. It's definitely going to a good place by hydrating the leaves. But sometimes I wonder if those leaves are going to suck so much of the moisture into themselves from the system that it's going to leave the system inhospitable for the worms. Well, even though I worry about it, so far I haven't seen any evidence of it, so perhaps I should not sweat it. Alright everyone, that's it for the check-in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, please don't forget to leave me a quick thumbs up before you go. That's always really appreciated. And if you haven't done so already, please also consider subscribing to the channel. That's very much appreciated as well. All right, everyone, have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.